Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Good day and welcome to the show. Listen, I'm glad to have you guys here on this Wednesday, the 6th of May, 2020. And you know what? In my mind, in my way of thinking, there's only two ways to beat COVID. One is with a vaccine, and the other way is after it's moved through the population. So, I'm just looking at all these countries. They all tried, they closed everything down, had everybody go home and quarantined everybody in the country and on and on and on. They did, and they didn't stop it, except for China. And it's making me extremely suspicious. The reason why China's got 1.4 billion people. And it started in Wuhan, and then they stopped it. How come all these other countries, none of them could stop it? And China could stop it. I'm extremely suspicious of that. And like I say, let's go back to what I just said a minute ago. Vaccine, or it moves through the population. Because it's extremely contagious. And so, I'm extremely suspicious of China. Anyway, other things about China. Let's get the chart started right here and take a look. This article right here. Get ready for the next game changer, the gold-backed digital yuan. Now, China's been amassing gold for a long time, buying it off of the West. All the gold's been shipping from west to east for years there. And China also produces a lot of their own gold, and they were storing it away, and they kept minting it into these 1 kilogram gold bars, and they put thousands and thousands of them in the vault. And during that time, Jim Rickards, he worked on a project with the Central Intelligence Agency, and it was a war game. And in that war game, now this is a while ago they did this. In the war game, China used gold as a weapon. In a monetary wars can spill over into real hot wars, But the way I see it is, we already know that China and the United States were already in a war. And China was taking the worst of it. China was losing all of their trade. It was a trade war. And it was really heating up, and China had never really retaliated back equally to how the United States was just basically pounding them. And there was no real significant retaliation. Or was there? Now, we see this gold-backed digital yuan coming along, and they got all the gold they need to back it with. Now, what did the United States do as a countermeasure? Could Bitcoin have actually been could Bitcoin have possibly been a countermeasure against the Chinese gold hoarding and making, in other words, the West maybe said to themselves, "Hey, we don't have any gold anymore. All we got's out Fort Knox, and it's insignificant. It's mostly just where we store our chemicals from leftover from World War II, or whatever, and there's only an insignificant amount of gold, and the gold that's there is all mixed with copper. It's not pure. It's orange colored gold. And they might have said to themselves, what are we going to do? China's amassing a tremendous gold hoard, and they're buying all of our gold and storing it all away over there. And you know the old saying, he who has the gold makes the rules. And so anyway, they might have said to themselves, hey, we got to come up with digital gold. That's what we'll do. We'll make digital gold. We'll put it out there, and we'll have the digital gold, and China will have the real stuff. Well, China's robbed the technology of the digital gold. I shouldn't say robbed it. They've taken it. It was, I guess, free for everyone on Earth. Anybody could make a Bitcoin imitation. It was what do they call that when the software is free? It's anyway. It's not shareware. There's a name for it when it's open source. I think that's the name, open source. And so anybody could have the technology to make a digital currency. And a lot of people made awkward digital currencies, that never really took off or anything. But China could easily obtain that technology and create their own digital currency once Bitcoin was out there and that open source software was out there ready for anybody to take. It's just a matter of time before they would link that technology with their gold to make a super currency. And it's like this whole thing it's almost like a 1-2 punch. China, first the virus comes along and takes out our economy, and then boom, what's China going to do? Come along with a digital currency that's backed by gold? And what are we going to have left? Bitcoins. It says last month the People's Bank of China confirmed that a group of top banks started trials in electronic payment in 4 different Chinese regions using the new digital yuan. It says there is no timetable for the yet official launch of what is called the digital currency electric payment, DCEP. And so the People's Bank of China, they're working on this, and I guess they want to get it perfect before they release it. And maybe the reason it's all about timing, folks. Maybe they're waiting until COVID-19 finally crumbles our economy into dust, and then they're going to come along and release. And after the Fed has to print excess amounts of money to try to pull the economy out of the hole, and all of a sudden, boom, there's a digital yuan backed by gold. 1-2 punch. A virus and then a digital yuan backed by gold. And what would that do to the West? Oh my gosh, it would just be like, it says in pending arrival, the key advantage of a sovereign digital yuan is that Beijing does not need to float a paper yuan, which, by the way, is being sidelined all across China itself as virtually everyone is switching to electronic payments. It says the digital yuan, also using blockchain technology, will also automatically float, thus bypassing the U.S.-controlled global financialized casino. So they're just going to be able to bypass the SWIFT system and everything else. We could be in huge, huge, huge trouble. Our currency over here could hyperinflate, and can you imagine the speed it would hyperinflate at if the Chinese their currency's backed by gold? Okay, let's take a look at the silver price today. $14.92. It's down 3 cents on the day so far. Let's take a look at gold. Gold is $16.85. It's down $20 today so far. But everything could change. The Chinese, if they even announced how much gold that they actually have, and gold could actually suddenly reprice, worldwide, and it could be a sudden move, kind of like the sudden move we seen in oil downwards. You guys weren't expecting that. Oil was like $20, and all of a sudden it's negative 37. Well, gold could do the same thing, but up. Of course, they would stop the markets for a little while because they've put these things in there that stop the gold price. But they only stop it, I think, for like 15 minutes, and then it starts taking off again. And what are they going to do? Gold could just suddenly reprice. Just like you guys saw it happen when the paper market now is separated from the price of the real physical market. If you guys want physical now, you're going to have to pay a premium. You saw how quick that happened overnight. Okay, let's take a look at cryptocurrency today. Crypto's doing really good. 256 billion, 256.9 billion, 66.6% Bitcoin dominance, and with a Bitcoin price of $9,320. So Bitcoin's doing good today. Let's take a look at the Dow. The Dow is only off a little bit, so down 69 points today. But I think it's awfully optimistic to keep the Dow up at 24,000. It's at 23,815 today, but that's an awful optimistic viewpoint of what's happening in the general economy. Of the fact that the Dow's that high with the general economy in the state that it's in. But we all know why the Dow's that high. It's that tremendous amount of money they've pumped in there. It's unreal. The amount of money the Fed's pumped into these markets. Take a look at crude oil, $23.24. It's down $1.32 today. Bonds and rates. We're looking at the long end of the yield curve is starting to rise. We were in the sixes on the U.S. 10-year. It was like 0.60, and now it's 0.72. And U.S. 30 years 1.42, and it was, 1.22? It's rising, and we're looking at a rise on the long end of 9 basis points today. It is a pretty big climb for U.S. Treasuries right there. Well, let's take a look now at the dollar index, and it's cracked 100. It's 100.1. It's up 0.39 today, or 0.4%. It's up today. So, yeah, I don't trust the Chinese. How do I know that this thing wasn't a lab created or something like that? And how do we know that it wasn't sitting around in the lab for maybe 2 years? Long enough for them to develop some sort of what do you call it for it? How do we know stuff like that? We can't see behind their closed doors what they're doing in back rooms of places. They got the old saying, never underestimate your enemy, because then you make a big mistake, And I don't trust anybody when especially I don't trust what the Chinese Communist Party is doing over there. And I watched that trade war. I watched it start with Donald Trump, and it was heating up, and China was taking the worst of it. China was going down the drain. They were losing all of their trade and everything else, and the trade war was because America's their biggest trading partner. And they didn't really have an adequate response to what America was doing to them. All of a sudden, boom, this virus comes out of nowhere. And now the whole complexion of the world has changed. And what's the only country on earth? I mean, you can look at the list of countries that have got this virus, and none of them have been able to stop it. Almost every country on earth, none of them have been able to stop the virus, except for China. So if you're not suspicious, you should be. What's really going on here? And now they're talking, China's about ready to probably come out with some new digital currency. Backed by gold, maybe? Oh boy. Thank you guys for listening. Give me a thumbs up, and we'll catch you guys in the next show. Bye-bye.